Okay, gathered some eggs from the egg hens, but we're back down here to the meat bird barn. We don't have bedding yet. It'll get here about 12:30. I'm gonna go in here and get these birds to get up, move around, and exercise. So basically, we just take a feed sack. This one's empty, and the material of it's kind of crinkly. We want to see them move away. We want to see them have mobility. We really want to see them go to feeders and waters. So we need them to be eating this week, a lot. We need to be eating a lot this week. We want them to finish successfully for poultry. We need them to get bigger than they are right now, which they will. Your meat birds in their last 10 days of production out here at about 35 to 42 days of age, they're going to really fill out. They're going to get a lot bigger in size over that week, over the last even 10 days of their production. Kind of varies with your production length, but they're going to get a lot bigger. But we got to encourage them to keep going to the feed. And the thing is, right now, conditions are good around them, ambient conditions, but they're not perfect. Temperature around them plays a huge role in the activity level of these birds and the comfort level of these birds. And the more comfortable they are, the less we have to encourage them to go to food and water. If they're just right, they get up and go to food and water on their own initiative a lot. If they're too hot, they really don't. They want to sit around and try to stay cooled off. If they're too cool, they also really don't. They want to sit in warm spots and stay warmed up. So they'll prioritize comfort zone over going to feeders and waters. And with meat birds, especially when we're on a schedule, we need them to prioritize going to the food and water. That's all we're doing right now. We're getting a lot of congestion in a crowd. It's because they're all funneling into the same direction. That kind of creates a traffic jam. So we just calmly and patiently keep walking around the pen, asking them to get up. So we're still telling them, move away. So we're looking for birds that can't get up. We're looking for birds that can't move. That tells us bad news about those birds. They're probably experiencing failure to thrive, or they're experiencing immobility. And both of those conditions in a meat bird is probably going to lead to flock loss on that individual. They're probably not going to be ones that successfully go to the butcher if they have a failure to thrive condition, or if they have an immobility condition. Those things aren't contagious. They don't really mean anything bad. They're not always in the control of the producer. Failure to thrive just means failure to thrive. They just don't have it. They don't keep up. They don't eat enough. They don't grow enough. They don't move around enough. And generally, they're way smaller than their flock companions, and they don't live to the end of production. Or if they do, they're really too small to justify taking them to processing. And if they have immobility, that just means bad legs. And so again, that could kind of be an expression of failure to thrive in a lot of instances that just didn't show up until after several of the growth spurts have happened. But we are having to be intentional about being a little bit aggressive in terms of management, just in terms of compel the birds to exercise frequently. And when I say frequently, I mean like about every hour and a half through the day. And when I say compel them to exercise, I mean just what we just demonstrated. Walking around the pen and making them get up and move around. Not just so that they get up and move around and get exercise and strengthen legs. The point of it at this juncture is to compel them to go to the feeders. Because when these birds get up and have an active period, they tend to go to feeders. That's when they get active, the first thing they think of is going to eat. That's common to Cornish rock-crossed meat chickens. When we get them up, we're pretty sure most of them are going to go get a bite to eat. So we've had cool temperatures, cooler than they want. So we've decided that for this last 9-day stretch, we need to, more frequently than typical, come into the barn, ask the birds to move around, and hopefully they go to feeders then. And generally when they go to feeders, they'll go to waters too. And then they'll rest. and they'll do that until we come back out and tell them to move around again. So, but this afternoon we are going to put fresh bedding down. We put fresh bedding down a couple days ago, and their manure load with meat birds is very heavy. They eat a lot and drink a lot, so they excrete a lot. So manure load is heavy. So we need to try to keep up with them with putting fresh bedding down. And that helps also with ambient comfort, because we're getting very cool nights. So if we let the floor remain saturated and wet, and that's what they're in contact with, that's going to make them feel cooler. If we keep dry bedding on top of that, it's going to be absorbent, it's going to be dry, it's going to feel warmer, it's going to be perceived as more comfortable by them. So we are going to rebed this afternoon actually. And that's great. The bedding has arrived, so we're going to be getting this in a meat bird barn, and they're going to love it. They're going to feel a lot better about it. The pros carry it like that. Okay, so quick look at the stuff. So this is the pelleted bedding. So it does break down as moisture is absorbed into it. It breaks down into sawdust consistency, basically. And this is the pine shavings. So it comes in a bale, but it fluffs right apart. They really love this. But we're going to put this around the waters, because waters are high traffic areas that get really compacted, get slick on top, and have a high moisture load around them. And then the resting areas, they get a little bit of manure load, but they don't get as much, so they don't tend to get as compacted and as slick. So we'll put just the pine shavings down there. But we're going to put the bedding that's pelleted around these waters first and see if that's helping us there. Alright, so this is shaping up really good. So I was a little bit stingy with the pelleted pine bedding around the waters, because we just wanted to use the one bag, but I got a layer of those around all of the waters. But we're getting the rest of this bedding spread out here. Wade's doing an excellent job, and this is really comfortable for the birds. It helps make it dry, helps make it more hygienic, makes it cleaner. They like to dust bathe in it. Overall, it's just really good for them to have the floor conditioned with fresh bedding. You want to keep that floor underneath your meat birds. If they're indoors, you want to keep that dry and absorbent for starting, growing, and finishing your production agriculture meat chickens. All right, there we go. Much better. All done. Fresh bedding throughout the chicken pen. They love it. When it cools down at night, this is going to help them perceive being warmer than they would otherwise if there wasn't fresh bedding down. I mentioned I was stingy with the pelleted pine bedding around the waters because I had one bag of it. Kind of likewise, we were conservative with the bedding. We only put down 3 bales of these pine shavings. So we actually have 2 left, but we did that intentionally because this is Saturday afternoon. The feed mill we use is closed for the afternoon, closed on Sunday, and they're not going to be open again until Monday. So we want to have some bedding material resources to fall back on if we run into a trouble spot somewhere in the building on the barn floor over the weekend. We need immediate attention drying it up and conditioning it, so we want to leave ourselves some bedding material in reserve. But for now, this is great. We got the entire floor covered for them, so they're really content with it. And Wade did an excellent job. He basically did about 3/4 of the floor, and I finished it up, and I did the pelleted pine bedding. But Wade did an excellent job getting good coverage on this floor with the bedding that he used, and he got it home from the feed mill for us. So we're super appreciative of his assistance in our farm operation.